The first film had it all: idols, demons, heartbreak, and one hell of a glowing sword. But what if I told you that was just the beginning? Fans walked out of K-pop Demon Hunters with their hearts full and playlists updated, thinking the story had wrapped neatly. But behind the curtain, something darker might be waiting. And what comes next even shocked the creators. Let's start with the leader who stole every scene she touched, Rumi. From the outside, she was the perfect hunter, brave, focused, practically born to save the world. But the truth? Rumi was a legacy kid, raised under Celine's strict guidance, trained to be a symbol of light even as her body bore the marks of a demon. She spent her entire life burying her own instincts to uphold the rules of an ancient order, until the very end, when she let go. In that final gut punch of a battle, Rumi abandoned the fear, the shame, and the centuries of denial. She tapped into her demonic side. And what she unlocked wasn't just power, it was potential. Rumi's scream shattered the original Hunmoon. Her teleportation warped space like it was a second thought. Her body ripped open seams in reality itself. And yet, it felt like we only saw the beginning of what she could do. What happens when she stops running from her instincts and starts mastering them? Could she become more demon than hunter? Or could she redefine both? But it's not just about her powers, it's about the world they left behind. The original Hunmoon wasn't just a magical barrier, it was a system, cold, unyielding, built on silence and suppression. Hunters were told never to feel regret, never to show fear, never to be human. Because the demon lord Gwima could feed off those very emotions. But in choosing to feel, in refusing to follow those cruel rules, Rumi and her team shattered that system and built a new Hunmoon, one made of truth, one forged in imperfection. It was powerful and incredibly risky, because no one knows how this new Hunmoon actually works, what it's made of, what it can withstand. If the first was a steel wall, maybe this one is glass, transparent, emotional, but far more fragile. Could feelings now power the magic that protects humanity? And if so, what happens when those feelings spiral? And then there's the soul we can't forget. Jinu. The sweet, quiet demon who wormed his way into our hearts and then broke them wide open. No one expected Jinu to change sides. No one expected him to fall in love. But by the end of the film, he gave Rumi everything, including his soul. That soul may now be embedded in Rumi's sword, or somewhere else entirely. Either way, it's not gone. The director's been suspiciously quiet about Jinu's fate. But let's be real. In a world of spells and soul magic, no one stays gone unless the writers say so. The sequel could see Rumi searching for a way to bring him back, not as a demon, not as a human, but something new. A being caught between life and memory, forged by sacrifice. But even if she finds him, would he still be the Jinu she loved? Of course, not every story needs to stay focused on the same heroes. In fact, Huntrix may be ready to pass the mic. By the end of the film, Rumi, Zoey, and Mira complete their mission, rebuild the Hunmoon, and choose to return to their lives as idols. They earned that peace, but if we know anything about legacy, it's that the story doesn't stop when the curtain falls. Each generation has a new trio, a new team of hunters. And with Celine likely watching from the shadows, the next hunt might already be underway. Imagine a sequel that dives into the next generation. Fresh voices, new powers, an intense training arc. Rumi and the others could act as mentors, even judges in a brutal, idol-style competition to select the next protectors of humanity. Not only would that let us keep the OG trio on screen, but it could expand the world dramatically. New songs, new stages, new threats. Because guess what? The Saja boys are gone. The stage needs someone to challenge Huntrix. And this time, it might come from within. Still, it's not like the old team's out of the picture completely. If the sequel chooses to dig deeper into the original members' pasts, oh, we're in for a ride. Let's talk about Zoey and Mira. Zoey grew up in America, straddling two cultures and never quite belonging in either. Her lyrics were poetry, but no one heard her. She tried so hard to please, to be perfect, to dim her light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But the pressure of hiding who she truly was, that leaves scars. And Mira, she was the rebel. The firecracker from a strict household who got labeled the problem child simply for wanting more. When Gwima touched her mind, it wasn't some random attack. It was personal. It was her worst fear whispering back at her, "You're unlovable." A sequel focusing on Zoey or Mira's inner battles could be devastating, in the best way, because these aren't just magical girls fighting demons. They're real people fighting years of rejection, guilt, and self-doubt. And honestly, that's more terrifying than Gwima ever was. But speaking of Gwima, is he really gone? Sure, Rumi and her team sealed him behind the new Hunmoon. But demons don't just vanish. They evolve, adapt, manipulate. If Gwima was the fear behind your eyes, the whisper in your regret, then who's to say he hasn't left pieces of himself behind? In the cracks of the barrier, in the hearts of fans, in the music itself. And maybe that's the real danger of a sequel, that even as Huntrix moves forward, something old is still watching. So what could K-pop Demon Hunters 2 be? It could be a redemption story for Jinu, a coming of age for new hunters, a spotlight for Zoey or Mira, a deep dive into Rumi's powers or her past. It could be all of it. And maybe that's the point. Because the first film wasn't just about fighting demons, it was about learning to love the part of yourself that's messy, broken, or strange. That's what made it resonate. And if the sequel brings that same energy, then we're in for something unforgettable. Let us know which storyline you're dying to see in the sequel. Are you Team Jinu's return or Team New Hunters? Drop your take in the comments. And if you loved the first verse, get ready for the second. This is K-Sweeper. Thanks for watching. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next comeback. The darkness isn't done with us yet.